9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
Women's Wrestling Talk, the #1 women's wrestling network on the planet.
Happy Wednesday, everybody. This is your timeless elite, your PR princess, Stone Cold Courtney, whatever you want to call me, on this jam-packed edition on this Wednesday edition of WWT Live. Obviously, of course, we do have AEW Dynamite happening, but we do have a lot of stuff happening because there's been a lot of news happening from NXT Deadline this Friday. Also, some big news from TNA that we will get to, but thankfully, I am not alone. I am very happy to have one of my co-hosts here, and who better to do it with Mr. Kane McCoy in the building.
Courtney, I appreciate that introduction. Just for that, I will make you the last entrance in the WWT last survival challenge that will happen. So you get to enter last and hopefully take the dub. We're going to see how that goes down. Welcome back to everybody really joining us. I feel like this is the first kind of like day we've had post-Turkey Day, a lot of flights, a lot of family time, a lot of trying to get away from family after seeing them for the first time in a while. Not to speak of personal Thanksgiving moments, but yeah, I'm happy to be back, Court.
I'm so happy that you're back. We had so much happening between wrestling and football and everything else in between. But Dylan,
and that was just on Turkey Day. It was just on Turkey Day, Court.
That and Black Friday. There was Black Friday football, by the way.
Yes.
But Dylan, we're just going to give you a treat because I'm going to do something that very rarely I ever do. I'm just going to give you the preview for AEW Dynamite, top of the hour with yours truly doing a watch along. We're pretty much on the road to Full Gear, but we do have to make a stop after what happened on Collision this past Saturday with his unscripted promo. Eddie Kingston and Samoa Joe will face-to-face right before their big match next week at Winter is Coming. Who knows what's going to happen between these two, but there is going to be a lot of bad blood, and we will be on the lookout for Swerve Strickland and Hangman Adam Page. We're also going to continue with the AEW Women's Tag Team Championships tournament in the semifinals match. The Timeless Love Bombs with Mina Shirokana and my lady of the hour, Timeless Toni Storm, taking on the team of Megan Bayne and Marina Shafir in a hardcore holiday death match. Who knows what's going to happen in that match? And we're also, as we mentioned last week, we are continuing the Continental Classic, which is now in week 2 in the Blue League. We're going to have the Death Riders' own Jon Moxley taking on Claudio Castagnoli after picking up big wins last week. And we also have a match in the Gold League with Kazuchika Okada taking on Pac one-on-one. All this and more happening on AEW Dynamite at the top of the hour on TBS, simulcast on Max. And Kane, I just want to get your quick thoughts on this. What are you looking forward to seeing on AEW Dynamite?
Samoa Joe and Eddie Kingston, when you look at them, you say, yes, those guys are wrestlers. I think that's been missing a bit for a while on AEW in the men's world title scene. You just look at them. You don't have to question what they know. These guys are wrestlers. So I'm very excited to see what happens with Samoa Joe and Eddie Kingston. Whenever it comes next week, that's when we're going to get the men's world championship match. For the freebie, I just can't foresee that being the end. I would like to see this carry on to World's End. To see Samoa Joe and Eddie Kingston. However, somebody has a beef with Samoa Joe who ended his reign 2 years ago at AEW World's End, and that would be the salt of the earth, MJF. So I think next week we might be due for an MJF return. Spoiler alert prediction, just something I feel that if we're going to do Eddie and Samoa Joe so early and not at World's End, then I think Samoa Joe and MJF, they might run it back at World's End maybe.
They have to. I mean, that was the last time we saw MJF, and then he had to take a break because of an injury bug. But that's going to be insane because there's just so many layers between Eddie and Samoa Joe. Obviously, we know Hook betrayed Hangman Adam Page. We're probably going to see Swerve Strickland and Hangman Adam Page because they have a beef with the Ops tonight. Obviously, of course, I got to go with the ladies. And also, it's very interesting because I did see Marina Shafir's promo. I'm just going to put out a warning. You think you know timeless Toni Storm. And I'm not saying that because she's my lady of the hour and because she got me into AEW. If you've never seen her in these types of matches, you are going to get a darker, violent, and vicious version of timeless Toni Storm. This is not the same timeless Toni Storm we know from 2-3 years ago. This is a different version of her, and I'm sure her and Mina Shirokana are going to bring it to Marina Shafir and Megan Bayne. I'm just waiting for Darby Allin and Toni Storm just to cross paths so they could just wreak havoc on the Death Riders. I'm just waiting.
Yeah, that's what I feel like we're going to see something with that as well. Overall, we have to figure out how many tournaments we're going to have run concurrently. Sheesh, AEW has 2 tournaments happening right now, so it's a lot of TTV, a lot of tournament TV that's happening. So that's kind of like the only that I have a little issue with is trying to keep up with these tournaments and not just regular exhibition one fall matches. But also, I guess you could say that these matches just mean more that's happening between the Continental Classic tournament matches and the AEW Women's World Tag Team Title tournament matches as well. So it's going to be an action-packed show. You get to sweat off all that turkirkin or whatever the hell you call the turkey thing that makes you sleepy off while watching some hot action. That word, 15 points for Scrabble. Yes, it's a 15-point Scrabble word. You get to sweat all that off, enjoy some Dynamite tonight.
Yeah, exactly. There's going to be so much. And feel free, because you can hang out with me during the watch along for 2 hours, because there's going to be a lot of mayhem. There, you don't know what you're going to get. But all this and more happening on AEW Dynamite tonight. Also, we had some sombering news yesterday. If you saw CM Punk's socials, CM Punk and AJ lost their beloved dog, Larry. CM Punk did a post yesterday on Instagram where he did mention of his dog, the beloved Larry, passed away, and it's just been very hard for them. And I could say for a person that owns an animal, it's very hard because they feel like your family and you're with them. So, Kane, I just wanted to get your quick thoughts on beloved Larry going to the other side.
Oh, man. All good dogs go to heaven. Larry, I mean, I was hoping there'll be some type of way where we can get an interspecies trios tag team championships with AJ Lee, CM Punk, and Larry as the inaugural champions. Unfortunately, that will not happen now. I mean, for some people, you know, the dogs, they aren't just dogs. They are their 4-legged babies. They are family. It's not just, you know, an animal. They have a seat at the table. So thinking of AJ Lee and Larry, AJ Lee and CM Punk as they mourn Larry, and it's just Larry is probably wrestling's most important dog we've seen, maybe most over dog.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, like Larry was on several merchandises across several companies. Remember, there's an AEW Larry shirt, there's a WWE Larry shirt. So he will be missed. And Punk just posted a picture, I believe, of Larry with his newly won World Heavyweight Championship. So Larry meant a lot. As somebody who I still miss my dog, Tiny. I hope you up there, Tiny, wrestling Larry right now. But yeah, man, I hope Larry's up there chasing all the fire hydrants and or chasing all the ambulances and pissing on all the fire hydrants up there.
It's kind of crazy. And Boza, it's funny you mention your comment because here's the thing, because Kane, you and I know this. We've seen a lot of animals in WWE in the past. Like, of course, Coco Beware had his parrot Coco in there. We saw the British Bulldog have his beloved Bulldog Matilda in there. Obviously, Jake the Snake had his beloved snake in the ring. So animals are people too. And also with the fact too, people didn't realize Larry was that popular, especially with the fact when he was feuding with Drew McIntyre, he did mention Larry in one of his promos. So people tend to forget animals are important people too. And as I mentioned, I do own 2 dogs, and sadly I did lose a dog a couple years ago, but it's always one of those things where they're family and they're just so attached to you and you just can't really let that go. And I did love seeing not just WWE, I did see Brody King pay tribute to Larry. I was very happy to see everybody in the wrestling community pay their respects, but we do want to send wishes to AJ and CM Punk in this rough time as well. Obviously, we know CM Punk will be facing Braun Breaker on the first Raw of 2026 on Netflix.
Yeah, that's gonna be something right there. Like, I need for CM Punk to do it for the homie Larry, and make sure we pay homage and beat up the badass wannabe dog with all that howling. Nah, CM Punk gonna show him how a dog actually gets down and take out Braun Breaker. Side note, Boza, I was gonna make that point actually. If you guys remember, like Larry is really imposed in wrestling history. Remember, Larry was caught up in the middle during the Elite and CM Punk brawl out that happened at All Out in September of 2022. So, like, Larry is like a part of wrestling lore, which is amazing. So, you know, thanks for the memories, Larry. We appreciate you here in the wrestling community. And again, enjoy pissing on all the fire hydrants, buddy. You've earned it.
Pissing on the fire hydrants.
That's what dogs do. And or me after a couple IPAs walking around town. Whatever. Same difference.
Okay, so I'm just gonna forget about that in my head. But going from somber news to actually exciting news. If you found out yesterday, the rumors are true. Everything's official. TNA, AMC finally has happened. TNA posted on their website yesterday, posting a full press release. But before I do that, I do want to give a shout out to John Alba of the Sports Illustrated because he's been covering the story over the summer. But it finally happened. Yes, he did. And they announced a multi-year agreement to bring TNA's flagship weekly television show, Thursday Night Impact, to AMC. And it's going to kick off live at Dallas Fort Worth Metroplex on Thursday, January 15th, 2026. And it'll be exclusively for 2 hours every Thursday from 9 to 11 p.m. And also the new agreement also includes extending the weekly telecast to viewers on their app AMC Plus. And they are very super excited. And also tickets for the first ever Thursday Night Impact to air on AMC. They will go on sale Thursday, December 11th, starting at 10 a.m. Eastern Time. And Kate, I just want to get your quick thoughts on this because this has been a story that's been ongoing. We weren't sure if it was official, but now it's official. And is this a good thing for TNA?
This is a great thing for TNA, Courtney. Finally, people can find TNA on an actual television station. AXS Access, which used to be HDNet back in the day, for all you cable nerds out there. But AXS is not available in as many homes as AMC. Plus, with AMC Plus, their app, you can actually watch the channel live. One thing about the AXS app, you can't watch anything live on AXS. So that's why TNA had to air Impact on TNA Plus. Now, will TNA Plus remain showing Impact once they start showing shows on AMC? That is yet to be determined. But TNA finally has a linear one-stop shop where you can find their programming, which is on AMC, AMC Plus, where they're streaming. So you can watch it on your television. You can watch it on digital for all my Roku people out there. So this is a game changer for TNA. And it's just so fitting that a network that aired so many iterations of The Walking Dead now props TNA up to be alive once again. The unkillable, total nonstop action. So very, very excited for TNA, excited for the superstars, or for the wrestlers. Now we just got to get excited for the creative. So we have to figure out what the big show is going to be.
Oh my goodness. I think this is going to be very interesting from my PR perspective. I do think this is a really good for TNA and AMC, because if you don't know what AMC is, as Kate mentioned, it was on The Walking Dead, but also there's channels under the umbrella. Obviously, of course, you have Sundance, you have IFC, you have Sci-Fi, along with many other channels, and also with the fact too, they do show a lot of Halloween movies when Halloween gets around the corner. Obviously, they show the original Halloween, and also right now they're probably going crazy with Christmas movies happening. So this is a really good opportunity to really get in with TNA, and I'm so happy they did find a home where a lot of people do have AMC on their cable. And also with the fact too, I'm very curious on what partnerships they're going to do, especially if AMC still does have original programming. We could see some maybe crossovers. We did see the first clip on socials with AMC and TNA, and we did see a lot of TNA stars such as the Hardys, Li Yang Lee, the new TNA Knockouts champion, Mike Santana, along with many others, are really posting about this. And also, I did see Carlos Silva, the president of TNA, because he was on Busted Open earlier today. It was him, Frankie Kazarian, along with many others in the TNA space talking about this. And this does seem a good opportunity for them. And I'm just really excited on how this is going to go out. And as you mentioned, Kane, creative, just making sure creative is not spot on, but just have everything make sense.
Yeah, and they made a lot of dollars. Now they need for the creative to make sense. The opening episode can go several ways. We can see this is where Mike Santana recaptures the TNA World Championship. Of course, there's rumors following his comments that he was very excited about TNA Bound for Glory. That will be Chris Jericho possibly being a special debut for TNA Thursday Night Impact. So it's good to have excitement around wrestling. AMC, which once stood for, I believe, American Movie Classics. I used to watch it with my grandparents back in the day. If you remember, I used to show old movies. Now I guess AMC with this TNA partnership stands for American Matt Classics. Nothing but 5-star matches every Thursday night from 9 p.m. to 11 p.m. by the way, which I saw that 9 p.m. I was like, oh, 9 p.m. That's kind of late. You know what I mean? I was like, I've kind of got used to the 8 o'clock. I kind of got used to the 8 p.m. to 10 p.m. vibes. But, overall, this is huge for TNA. I've been possibly since maybe Spike TV is this their biggest network they've been on. You remember for a while they were like on Pop TV and whatever Destination America was?
Yep.
You remember that? Like
they were everywhere.
Yeah. So TNA, man, like TNA wins again. TNA wins again. 23 plus years. They ain't going nowhere. And just to see this continuation is dope.
It's the little engine that could still go. The TNA is just a little engine that could still go, and they are just running and running until they can't stop no more. So shout out to everybody in TNA for this huge partnership along with AMC. As again, shout out to John Alba, because he's been covering the story since over the summer. So give credit when it's due. Give a shout out to him from Sports Illustrated. And I'm very pleased on the future. And just on TNA, because we were talking about Genesis happening in 2026, we actually have the official date for TNA Genesis. Obviously, of course, we know it's taking place in Dallas, Texas. And after appearing on the Ariel Helwani show, TNA president Carlos Silva confirmed the event will take place on Saturday, January 17th. And he went on to say the pay-per-views will stay the same, talking about the new AMC partnership we were talking about a few minutes ago. We'll have 4 pay-per-views in 2026. We have Genesis, which will be right after our live debut on AMC on the Saturday after. That will be our first big pay-per-view of the year. And Kay, I just want to get your question on this because we know the partnership's going to happen in January. And Genesis is going to be their first pay-per-view in 2026 in the TNA AMC era. What do you think TNA has to do to ensure that they go into 2026 with a bang?
I will say have somebody other than Delirious or Tommy Dreamer book it. No, I'm kidding. I love Tommy Dreamer and Delirious. I would say that, that's going to be a huge week for TNA because, again, Thursday will be the debut on AMC, which is also going to be the go-home show going into Genesis that Saturday. So, again, some type of debut has to happen. We're going to use that as the setup, as it's going to be the setup into Genesis. So will we have debuts there or on Genesis? Will the title changes happen there, or will it be matches to set up for Genesis? JDC has spoken that this will be his last match. The former Fandango, Dirty Dango, Johnny Curtis, for those of us who really has been following him. But this is JDC's final match. He's been challenging Frankie Kazarian for the TNA World Championship. Will that match happen? Will Frankie Kazarian still be champion by the time Genesis rolls around, or will he lose to Mike Santana on the Thursday show? So there's a lot of questions going into it, but with questions comes excitement. So you want that around TNA. I want TNA to start fresh because the thing that happened with Santana was such a dud. After winning at Bound for Glory and taking 4 weeks off and coming back and immediately dropping to Frankie Kazarian with a still unresolved NXT attack. We still have to get those things in order. I know that tomorrow night we're going to see Robert Stone taking on Mike Santana as well. So maybe we get some resolution with that. But it's going to be a busy month and a half for TNA with the new TV deal and going into Genesis just 2 days after they debut.
It's going to be a busy month for them. And I think for them to just really start off strong, because you did talk about the elephant in the room with Mike Santana losing his TNA title. It's just really much kind of going the same way that they did in 2025 this year. Obviously, of course, really just building future stars within TNA. I know they had the partnership with NXT and TNA, but this is a good opportunity to really think like who in the roster can lead the charge going into 2026. And there's just so many things that they could do. Obviously, I know this is going to be a fly on the wall, and I know this so many layers this is going to happen, but AJ Styles is retiring in 2026. I would love for him to at least wrestle in a TNA space. And I would love for nothing more to wrestle with one of his familiar foes in Frankie Kazarian. And it doesn't even have to be for the title. Just give me a one-on-one match.
Yeah, there was talk about that once Kazarian won the title, and he spoke about that. If it's for the title, will you put the TNA championship on AJ Styles and give him one last run? Or will you have AJ Styles lose to Frankie Kazarian and then have him back on WWE TV? Like, how will that happen? So who gets protected here? And with the way everything's been, no TNA superstar has defeated a WWE superstar while champion. So the closest we've had is Santana regaining the title against NXT superstar Trick Williams. But we haven't seen any TNA star go over a main roster WWE superstar yet. So again, Court, it's more questions than anything. We're getting to the Genesis, but we have yet to reach the apex.
Yes.
Got to break that down. That's a bar.
We do have to break that down. So much is happening because TNA, and also they do have one more event they got to go to because I think we're going to do poll predictions on that. But TNA is going to have a busy coming into 2026, and hopefully they come up hot. And since you mentioned NXT, we have NXT Deadline happening this weekend, by the way. If you did watch NXT last night, obviously, of course, we have the men and women survivor matches. We do have Ethan Page going up against Mr. Iguana, but we found out what match is going to kick off NXT deadline this weekend. It will be for the NXT World Heavyweight Championship match. It will be Ricky Saints taking on Oba Femi. That will kick off the PLE. And Kane, I just want to get your quick thoughts on this. Just some thoughts.
I mean, they coming out the gate with it. Like, this feels like shit. If they're setting it off like that, this feels like shenanigans are going to happen. They're going to find a way to protect Oba, but I believe that Ricky retains here. So, and that gets everyone talking. I figured that would have headlined, that would have been it, but they're coming off the rip with it. So, because it's not like if the Iron Survivor Challenge on the men's side wins, they're going to challenge Ricky or Oba to come back out following their match. Had the Iron Survivor Challenge let it off, then I could see some type of Money in the Bank scenario where whomever wins the men's Iron Survivor Challenge is like, okay, I want my shot right now. I'm going to come out and go after it. So that leading it off tells me we're going to get some shenanigans in this match.
It's going to be a lot. I know, and Will talked about this too on NXT. I know people were very mixed feelings when it comes to Ricky, and I've been following Ricky since he was in AEW days. I just don't want him to be I don't want his reign to be tainted, but I do think he needs this win a lot more than Oba does, because sooner or later Oba's going to move up to the main roster. I just don't want Ricky to be like another thing, especially if you saw when Trick Williams had his second reign, you didn't have many competitors for him, and I really think I really want Ricky to be a strong champion within NXT. I know some people were not too high on the men's Survivors match, but I'm just hoping they end it with the ladies, because the ladies do come out strong. I would love to see that happening, but I do think it's going to be a good, solid match. I really do want Ricky to retain. Obviously, of course, we're going to do bold predictions on Friday because, as Bosa mentioned, we have NXT Deadline. We also have Ring of Honor Final Battle this Friday. So we have so much happening, and I would love to see Ricky at least retain and at least have a good, solid reign that's not mediocre.
Yeah, Court, like the biggest thing about Ricky Saints, I believe, is the fact that he should be a heel. In my opinion, I think he works better as a heel or as an anti-hero, as a tweener type. And I think that, it reminds me of a lot of like Diesel, Kevin Nash. And I believe he just spoke about this week where when he was the anti-hero, cool dude Diesel, people loved him. And then when he won the championship, he became a white meat babyface. It's like, that's how I feel with Ricky. They have Ricky as a white meat, white hot baby face. And that's not the Ricky Starks, Ricky Saints character. It's like I'm here because I'm the revolution. And revolutions aren't always pretty. They aren't always clean and crisp. You got to get dirty if you want to make change. You have to be comfortable with being uncomfortable. And we haven't seen that with Ricky Saints yet in NXT. Will that happen in this match against Oba, in which some type of double turn happens? You know what I'm saying? That hints the shenanigans I mentioned earlier. But I think once we see that, then we'll be able to see, okay, who wins the Iron Survivor? Will it be a face like Javon Evans, Leon Slater, or Joe Hendry? Or will it be Miles Bourne? Or will it be Dion Lennox, one half of the current NXT Tag Champions? So Deadline is going to really set up the next 6 months in NXT. I have my prediction who I think I'm going to win. We'll save it for Friday. I don't want to say the name because they might appear on the stream, but that's why I believe he's in NXT 4 to have that run. But will it be against a face Ricky Saints or a heel Ricky Saints? So yeah, it's gonna be a lot of shenanigans with Deadline. It's gonna be a lot of changes. Come next week, it's gonna look a lot different. Yeah.
It's going to be very interesting heading into deadline this week. I'm not sure if we're going to do a watch along this weekend, but we shall see. And I do think, because Ricky works a lot more better as either a heel or anti-tweener face, because it's like he shows some heel tactics, but he shows some baby face tactics, but it's just something like he just doesn't care. He'll like go by it. So hopefully we do get to see that. We have to see if we're going to do a watch along for that deadline. I'm not sure, but we shall see on that. And also formerly known as the Ravishing Russian Lana, formerly known as CJ Perry. She was on Chris Van Vliet's podcast yesterday, and she was, of course, talking about like her relationship with Rusev, and obviously she cheered on Liv Morgan and everything else, and also talking about this, but this was actually very interesting. So during her interview with Chris Van Vliet yesterday, well, actually not Chris Van Vliet, but she was on the interview. This was actually TMZ Inside the Ring. She did the interview. And also, despite being under her WWE Legends deal, CJ Perry had to purchase her own tickets to attend Survivor Series. And she explained that under the new TKO ownership, complimentary tickets are hard to come by, even for active roster members. She also went on to say, I don't know, it's a little weird situation. I know that's all TKO. You know, when TKO came on, a lot of these changes, like you have to buy tickets, even talent, everyone has to buy tickets. And she cited a specific example involving her husband, Rusev, to illustrate the cost. Liv had to get all the tickets for her whole family and everything. Like my husband had to buy at WrestleMania when he debuted. It was like $5,000, like the buy for the suite, she revealed. And she clarified that this is a strict company policy. It's all TKO. This isn't Hunter. This isn't Bruce. There's all these really strict rules and regulations. Despite the cost, she said she doesn't mind paying because she wants to support her friends. I don't have a problem paying for tickets because I believe in these people. I believe in Liv Morgan.
I mean, is TKO being ran by Mr. Krabs from SpongeBob SquarePants? You want to talk about a penny pinching tight operation? I heard, and they're going to air this in a part 2 of the interview, that they even charged Lana's unborn child a ticket just to make sure that they maximize revenue. That's how tight TKO is at the moment. They said, no, you got to pay and they got to pay. And they pointed to CJ's stomach, and it was just really weird all over the place. Really uncomfortable. Listen, I just hate what TKO, the TKOization of WWE has become. They haven't realized yet, nearly 2 years into this deal, that WWE is not UFC. It's two totally different crowds, and they are running it the same. It's one of those things that we were worried about this with TKO not appreciating what WWE was or is and trying to change it into something else. You know, the CJ Perry, the former Lana, should not be paying to come to a WWE event. It's her former employer. Do you pay to see your homies at work? No, I'm just pulling up to say hi. Like, I'm not here trying to plug anything, you know. Is because TKO can't get a plug off of her to show her and plug something, or she's not one of these, you know, what's the word I'm looking for? Basement dwellers talking about, you know, society under the guise of being a comedian. Like, it just doesn't make any sense. And we've been going through this in media as well, with how, you know, the comp tickets aren't what they used to be. And the comp tickets weren't even good seats. Like, they were just free, and you appreciate the free with the understanding that, yo, we get these and then you'll do coverage. And it was a way to build the community. It was a way to see your fellow wrestling brother win and build a relationship. And it seems like TKO is not concerned with relationships. They just want money, 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 and that's it. It's just transactional. And that just takes the love out of it. And you feel uninvited. And I'm sure it had to suck for her, because it just feels like, Well, I'll do it because I want to support my homegirl Liv, not to support TKO. But it just sucks to put anybody in that predicament. You should feel welcome home when you come back. And it just seems like we're not getting that, not only as fans, but also former superstars like CJ Perry.
Mm-hmm. Why do I feel like almost every story has a PR crisis today? This is so crazy. For my perspective, I mean, it really is sad because she has a Legends deal, and at least there should be somewhere, because I don't do contracts, because contracts can be very funny, but at some point it should at least have a comp ticket, especially if you're like have a Legends deal or anything else. But it's always hard because you mentioned this with comp tickets, because we talked about this the last couple months. Even when we talked about this like off live regarding Survivor Series and War Games, I'm trying to cover it. I just think it's really hard to really think about this, and even uncovering stories, because we talked about this with WWE and TKO. Unfortunately, they're going for influencers who have no idea about the brand when it comes to professional wrestling. And it's ironic you mentioned UFC, because they're going to be on Paramount Plus starting in 2026. So that's also another thing too with that. And thankfully, I don't want to throw TKO and WWE under the bus, but thankfully when I did go to AEW, I mean, I did have nice seats and I was able to get coverage. And also, for me, one of the things, especially about my job and what I do, I love to build networking opportunities. I love to connect with people who are doing the same thing that I'm doing, especially in media training, by the way. I just want to connect with people. And even with WWE and TKO, I just think there is some disconnect, because it's great to have influencers, but don't forget about some of the media people that actually cover, live, breathe wrestling. Don't forget about those people, because they will be around even when wrestling's not in a hot popularity. They will still be around, because we were around when the new generation hit, and that was kind of a lost period. Then you had the Attitude Era that hit, and then after that you had the Ruthless Aggression Era hit, and then, dear God, we were in the PG era. But we're still all here. We're still all here. We love it. We breathe it. And it's very hard to do with that as well. And also, not just us for Women's Wrestling Talk, but there's just so many people who are in the space that are doing incredible work on socials, not just for followers or anything, but are doing the work. So I think this is something they're really going to have to really think about moving forward, especially we're in Q4, but they're going to have to think about Q1. You're going to have to really think about Q1, and especially with the fact you got WrestleMania happening. I mean, I know you have Saudi for the Royal Rumble in 2026, but you got to think about WrestleMania. You're like promoting and milking this. So I think there's something of a plan, and I don't know who's in your comms team or your strategic team, but you got to get them in there and really think about like, okay, who can we have that's covering it, that lives, breathes, and eats wrestling? But, at the end of the day, money talks.
Yeah, money talks. And, it's just one of those things where the statement that the fans are going to make is going to be the real return on investment. So that's what TKO has to figure out. It feels very cold to deal with WWE at the moment. While business might feel hot, it's the fans who are getting the cold shoulder. It's former superstars who are getting the cold shoulders. AEW feels very warm and welcoming. Whether you're a member of the media, whether you're a fan, there's something about AEW, you feel like I'm with my people. And WWE under the TKO regime is increasingly feeling like less of that. And when you have superstars coming out and saying they're paying 5 racks for a show, for a box, or they're not getting comp tickets, that doesn't feel like family to me, Courtney.
No, it really doesn't. And I also give a shout out to not just them, but also when I went to Ring of Honor's Media Scrum, it was very welcoming. It was very warm welcoming when I went to Ring of Honor. It's just really hard because when you look at this and it's just like, okay. But I do think this is something their comms team really, really needs to think about in the coming months. I mean, look, this is no disrespect to any influencers. It's great. Like if you live, breathe, and wrestling, there are people that are doing amazing work. but there are some people that just do it just because of the popularity.
They not
And I have no
outside.
idea.
They not outside.
Have
No idea.
idea.
And really what it boils down to, maybe because with everything recently in politics, maybe TKO is overcharging Lana because Russian tariffs. So they might be, she's Russian, overcharge her. It's like, that's just a gimmick. She's from like Florida or something.
Well,
Rusev Crush. Rusev's not even Russian no more, right? He's like Bulgarian in
no,
WWE, right?
he's
not Russian no more.
Bulgarian.
Okay, yeah. All right. Okay.
He's Bulgarian. But you know what else that fans and everybody else can enjoy? They can enjoy the Women's Archive, because we support all things for women's wrestling and every single history that we have of women's wrestling from past, present, and the future.
Women's wrestling didn't just show up yesterday in glitter boots. We've been here the entire time, body slamming through history.
The Women's Wrestling Archive launches January 1st, 2026, and it's gonna pave the way for all women's wrestling.
Because if we don't document it, a man might say he did it first.
This has been a passion project for a very long time. Head over to the womenswrestlingarchive.com to donate 1, 5, or whatever you can. It all goes a long way.
Let's give these women the spotlight that they've always deserved.
Her story belongs in history. Help us preserve it today. Join us at womenswrestlingarchive.com. Support the archive. Support women's wrestling. Donate today.
Support everything with women's wrestling. And yesterday was Giving Tuesday, by the way. But we want every contribution all year round for women's wrestling.
Yes. Any dollar amount, $1, $2. If you're TKO, $5,000. You could just donate, and it's really dope. Women's Wrestling Talk is going to have a huge, large, massive, humongous El Grande Americano in all countries size of a 2026. So, you know, get under the umbrella or get rained on. So we gotta say,
pretty much that's it. And we're staying with WWE because I feel like the news just gets interesting by the minute. So if you saw Freddie Prinze Jr., he actually had some interesting things to say regarding the partnership between WWE and ESPN. He was saying this on his Wrestling with Freddie podcast that allegedly ESPN is unhappy with the WWE deal right now. ESPN, by the way, is so unhappy with the deal. I was talking to a friend of mine who works for Disney, and he was just like, yo, they better make their money back on this deal. He just said they're hot. But a few hours earlier, before we got on, Sean Ross Sapp of Fightful actually tweeted a follow-up with this, saying he asked sources in WWE and ESPN about Freddie Prinze Jr.'s comments about ESPN being unhappy with WWE. He mentioned a WWE higher-up said no one in WWE upper management is aware of Freddie Prinze's role in wrestling or otherwise. An ESPN rep claimed that they haven't heard that chatter and have enjoyed working in WWE. So this is going to be probably an ongoing story that's never going to end.
First of all, whatever that WWE people, PR people talking about, that's cap, big cap. Freddie Prinze Jr., or as we call him here in wrestling land, El Hijo de Freddie Prinze. That's Spanish, El Hijo de Freddie Prinze. Yes. This man worked for WWE. Remember, he was once a producer and a writer for WWE. He was a fan. He is a fan, lifelong fan, one of the first major Hollywood celebrities to get involved with professional wrestling, not to plug anything or to just be there to be there. No, this guy was a real fan. Remember, this was big news when he popped up at WrestleMania. He was on, if you guys remember, John Morrison and The Miz used to have the dirt sheet on WWE.com. Mm-hmm. He had a whole blog on WWE Universe back in the day. So Freddie Prinze, before we got, you know, Sam Roberts and Peter Rosenberg and whomever we have doing the, celebrity crossover to WWE, it was Freddie Prinze Jr. first, bro. He was like out here first. So I'm going to take him at his word. He isn't somebody trying to angle for a job with AEW or to, criticize like an IWC guy looking to make his bones off of criticizing wrestling, even though they couldn't fall down and take a bump if their life depended on it. No, Freddie Prinze Jr. is in the game. He's in this ecosystem. So I'm going to take what he says as truth. With that, followed by, remember what our guy graded WrestlePalooza, Andre. Why can't I think of Andre's name? Oh my god! But who works for ESPN? The writer. Why can't I think of Andre's name suddenly? But anyway, he gave WrestlePalooza a C-. Somebody who works for ESPN. So out the rip, ESPN was side-eyeing WrestlePalooza in a relationship with WWE. I think it's buyer's remorse. You mean to tell me that people who once paid a certain set fee for everything now have to spend an additional $30 for something and it's not even working properly and they're not too happy with it? No way. You mean people who are dealing with these extravagant prices and ho-hum storylines and pay-per-views, PLEs, whatever initials you want to use, only getting 4 to 5 matches that equal less or the same time as the commercials that air, aren't really too enthused with it? Adios mio, you don't say. I'm shocked at that. So WWE needs to look in the mirror and figure out who they want to be for 2026. Do they want to be a professional wrestling company, or do they want to be a billboard and sometimes wrestling? Because if you provided the latter of the two, you wouldn't get the comments from Freddie Prinze Jr. like you do. And people already leaking to their homies in the game, hey man, things ain't looking so friendly here. So, don't blame me, blame your manager.
I feel like this is going to be a case study going into 2026. First off, and this is to every single narc out there in the IWC land, if you do not know who Freddie Prinze Jr. is, you really need to take a back seat, because outside of wrestling, I followed him from Hollywood in his movies, from She's All That, I Know What You Did Last Summer, Scooby-Doo, along with many other movies. And with the fact he's been with Sarah Michelle Gellar for like ever, since they were in the teen movie I Know What You Did Last Summer. So for me, I have been following him from Hollywood, and also he is a wrestling fan. And that's the thing I love. Like, he worked backstage, he helped out, as Kane mentioned, in the early years with WWE, when it was called the WWE Universe, when that was called the Fans. And he's definitely put a lot of work in. But also, this kind of goes, especially when we were talking about with CJ, formerly known as Lana. This is going to be something that they're going to have to learn. And I would not be on that PR team right now, because if there's a few reports that are going to get leaked out in the coming weeks and months leading into 2026, this could get really messy. So there's going to be something that they're going to have to learn when it comes to crisis and messaging and everything else, and kind of really think about, because you're already finished War Games. And I know WrestlePalooza, they gave it a C for ESPN. I don't know what the grading was for War Games, for Survivor Series War Games, but I'm pretty sure it's probably up somewhere on ESPN. And also with the fact too, for the people that work in ESPN, at least know the product of wrestling, because I watch college football, I watch Monday Night Football, and I'm like, do they even watch the product? Because some of it was just so crazy, because somebody called it the Survivor Series instead of Survivor Series War Game. So it's just those little things. And I'm just like, okay, what are we doing? So at least try to educate some of the people that work in ESPN. Like, I know Rich Eisen does, because he's had many people that have been on it, from like Seth Rollins to Tony Khan, along with many others on the wrestling side with Rich and everything else. But at least have
we definitely need more like Arda Ocal. Like, Arda Ocal used to do for the Score back in Canada back in the day. Then he got the job in WWE, and his name was like Cal Edwards or something like that. Something horrible. Man, that's Arda Ocal, dog. But now he's with ESPN, and he sounded great talking about it. I mean, he used to work there. He knows the product. We need more of that. But going back to as far as the deal, I think there is some truth to it. And You know, it seems like ESPN overpaid WWE and they overpriced the subscribers. So it's like that meme where like the kids are fighting and the dogs are fighting. Everybody in the house mad. Everybody mad. Everybody just mad and pointing fingers and trying to figure out. And remember, this deal with ESPN wasn't even supposed to happen until 2026. So it got bumped up. Remember, it got bumped up and just kind of like dipped out of like, it was like a blow off feud with Peacock, and they just left Peacock and went to ESPN. So, you know, when you move sloppy like this, and when you move without the audience in mind, this is what happens. You know, Voldemort, whose name he at least cared about the fans. He knew there is no him without the fans. You need people to watch your product. You need people to be able to afford your product, even if the stories aren't good. We need something that we can take families to, take people to, something to make the bang worth the buck. And again, all these deals we're doing, that Nick Khan, who used to work at CAA, he's a Hollywood guy. It's the deal. They only care about doing these deals. And whatever happens afterwards, happens afterwards. Who cares about return on investment? We got our money. We put clauses in contracts. So if you end it early, there's going to be buyouts. There's going to be all type of like, you know, things that we have to do in order to get out of this. So you stuck with us, or you have to pay to get out with us. So from a business standpoint, yeah, there's, you know, money. But it's the after effect. Are your people happy? Is ESPN happy? Are the fans happy? You know, and resoundingly, you could say, not really. No, we're not. Like, no one's really, it's just here. So they're going to have to figure out what's going on between the 4-letter network and the 3-letter wrestling company.
That, and also you have to know who ESPN is under, and that's Disney.
Yeah.
Disney owns all.
Well, Survivor's War Games looked like a Disney event. There was no blood. There's no blood in War Games. No blood. You got Becky Lynch trying not to get cut on a cage spot, screaming and yelling and all that. And I'm just like, what is this? What is this? You can't have that type of War Games on ESPN's PLE, PPV, UFC, OPP, following what AEW's Blood and Guts was. You know?
Yeah.
I'm sure Dusty Rhodes smiling down at AEW saying, "Sweet Daddy, you got it." It's Tony Khan. You know?
Well, unfortunately,
and then the company with Dusty's son puts out that War Game match. Come on, man.
And you only had 2 people in the men's War Games that were bloodied.
Yeah.
And one of them was his son.
Yeah. And Roman did a walkthrough. He just pulled up like a club walkthrough.
Yep.
You know, pulled up, you know, got his aura, got his emotes in, took an F5 to the table, got in, and aura'd some more. Come on, man. Don't even. So if we're watching thinking that, and we know the product, imagine the ESPN people watching the end of Survivor Series War Games and being like,
oh my God. That's especially on SportsCenter. Could you imagine SportsCenter highlighting that? Could you imagine Get Up?
Yeah, you know, and I don't even watch that crap because that's another story with, you know, well, his mama named him Cold Pizza. We're gonna call it Cold Pizza. It's ESPN Cold Pizza for those of us who remember.
That's a whole conversation because
I
will say the bright spot that they're doing on ESPN, they're doing a documentary on Stuart Scott, which I love.
Can't wait for that. Booyah! The real reason why a lot of us got into sports. Sorry, screaming guy, but it wasn't you. It was him, Stuart Scott.
It was him, Rich Eisen, Chris Berman, many other guys before that.
Yeah, it was the OGs. You ain't no OG. You just a drunk uncle that things get. Go ahead, man. Let's just go to the next. Who is you? You know, shouts to Stu Scott, shouts to Stan Verrett. You know,
yes,
shouts to those guys.
And since we were talking about Rich Eisen, God bless Rich Eisen's soul. He was Seth
Scott,
Rollins, yes,
and Rich Eisen.
Rich Eisen. And since we were talking about Rich Eisen, Seth Rollins appeared on Rich Eisen's show recently. If you know, he's been dealing with a serious injury. He's been on NFL's Good Morning Football throughout the entire football season, and have been seeing his tweets, by the way, because he says, I love football, I hate football, but I'm sure he's a happy camper because his Chicago Bears beat the Philadelphia Eagles last Friday. But anyways, he did give an injury update on the Rich Eisen show, and he mentioned, we're on track. Yeah, I got the brace off like last week, middle of last week. So it was nice. It's nice to walk around like a regular person. I know there's a lot of skepticism in your question, TJ, but you can consult my surgeon. I'm feeling all right. It's nice to be able to get around without the brace. I'll say that, but we're on track. And it's very crazy. At War Games, they had a blind person doing Seth Rollins' move. And there's been a lot of quote unquote conspiracies thinking that it was Seth, it was Austin Theory, it was Chris Jericho. So there's a lot of speculation that's been blowing up since Survivor Series War Games.
Yeah, Seth Rollins, first of all, I hope the Chicago Bears lose the rest of their games after defeating my Washington Commanders, only because Jaden Daniels didn't know how to hand the ball off to the running back, and it started all the type of pain that we feel now. But anywho, back to wrestling. Seth Rollins is a man who knows how to work these dirt sheets better than anybody recently. Of course, we had the injury from a couple of months ago with the knee following his match with LA Knight at Saturday night's main event. Of course, that was not the case, as he cashed in on CM Punk versus his war against Gunther to become World Heavyweight Champion. And now he has to forfeit because of Coast to Coast against Cody Rhodes at Crown Jewel, in which his shoulder don't work no more, Lieutenant Dan. But we saw him eating food with Becky on that one show. We seen him here with or without the brace. So it's a guy that, for as much as he gets injured, he heals quickly. This guy's like Wolverine. Like he just really heals quickly. So I don't know if he's getting some of that Irish healthcare, that universal Irish healthcare that like Becky Lynch got or something like that. You can get some of that, because man, he's really like healing well. So obviously that wasn't him unless he had on padding or something. I'm not really sure what he could have done, because that guy had like larger shoulders to say. But again, he is a leader. He is a visionary. So he sees things that we don't see. He does things that we can't fathom. So I think we might have a case here with Seth Rollins. He is more than meets an eye when it comes to his injuries and his return dates and how he moves in WWE.
Yes, that's going to be something, because he did give an update recently when him and Becky were on Bert Kinniser. I'm going to butcher his last name. Kinniser on his podcast. But it's very interesting with Seth, and it's kind of crazy. Everybody's having these conspiracies, but Seth is a person, he just has some tricks off his sleeve, which you never know, because I'm going to take things with a grain of salt, because I think there is going to be a lot more to the story on who the masked person was. And do not be shocked if they make an appearance on the first Raw of 2026 in CM Punk's match against Braun Breaker, because that would be very interesting. And we're pretty much on the road to the Royal Rumble. Well, the road to WrestleMania, which starts at the Royal Rumble in Saudi. So there's going to be a lot of interesting pieces that's coming into play between now and I was going to say January, but I believe it's going to be in February.
What, the Rumble?
Yes.
Oh, no, it's January 26th. January
okay,
26th.
So now it's in January.
January 26th, Royal Rumble.
All right. So, yeah, we got a lot happening between now and January.
I lied. Cap. It's January. No, it is January 31st. Sorry. January 31st, not 26th. Okay. January 2026, but on the 31st date of January in 2026.
Yep. We're 9 weeks
British
out.
Yeah, that's crazy. Yeah, in Riyadh.
It's super crazy, but I don't know. We'll see what happens with Seth and how his injury is, because obviously, of course, he wants to be 100% healthy by WrestleMania, but do want to wish him a speedy recovery and making sure everything's connected dots. And yeah, we'll see what happens. And of course, we're going to have a lot of questions with the masked defender who attacked CM Punk.
Yeah, I mean, it's Austin Theory, right? It's Austin Theory.
That's what a lot of people said, but we haven't seen Austin Theory in a while, so
Yeah.
hopefully.
It looks like from his back, it looked like his stance. From his shoulder back, not the other back, as people have been talking about on the internet. I seen y'all. I hope you get your Twitter accounts taken away. Talking about y'all nasty. Y'all know who you are.
Oh my goodness. Wow.
Objectifying us. Don't objectify Austin Theory like that. He's a man. He's a person.
He is. Austin Theory is a person, but we shall see what Mr. Austin Theory has. But going from one supposedly rising star to another leading starlet in WWE, Miss Chelsea Green. Chelsea, and this is kind of crazy, she has been trying to be pushing on Dancing with the Stars. We have seen in the past, we've seen many wrestlers been on Dancing with the Stars, such as Stacy Keibler, The Miz, Chris Jericho, and Nikki Bella finding success on the show. And Chelsea is hoping to be next in line. She had an interview with Bobby Bones on the Bobbycast on the podcast, and she kind of says, for the past 6 months, I've been pestering the hell out of Dancing with the Stars and out of our talent relations team. They hear from me every single Friday, whether it's in person or by text. Did Dancing with the Stars call yet? Have you asked Dancing with the Stars? I know the producers of Dancing with the Stars. I've spoken to Nikki Bella and The Miz. I'm planting, watering, and fertilizing those seeds. I will be on Dancing with the Stars. It's just a matter of time.
I mean, how do you spell persistence? I believe that is CHELSEAGREEN. Chelsea Green persisted that she get that hat on WWEshop.com. And guess what I had at? WWEshop.com. Chelsea Green is persisting that she ends up on Dancing with the Stars. And I have a feeling we will see Chelsea Green on Dancing with the Stars. Interesting part will be, will she still be double champion while on Dancing with the Stars? That is a lot of commitment. You have to go away, and we have not seen. And I think was Miz was active, but did he have a storyline injury to get written off, or was his just, oh, be right back, gotta do Dancing with the Stars? I can't remember. I'm about to do my Googles real quick, but I can't remember if Miz was written off to do Dancing with the Stars. I mean, that is a lot to have happen. So I
don't think with Jericho, because I know he was involved in something when he came back, but I don't think that it was serious injuring. But I think Jericho was still active when he was with Dancing with the Stars in WWE.
Yeah, well, Jericho wasn't. Miz was active, but Miz had a blow-off feud with John Morrison.
Oh, okay.
So that's what happened. So then, yeah, so I remember he just didn't have any feuds going on, and they actively promoted him being on Dancing with the Stars, because I believe it still aired on Mondays at the time. So it was like, yeah, you could do it, but you got to keep plugging away. But he wasn't involved in any active feuds. So
yeah,
he was a champion. So for Chelsea, it'll be tougher with her being not only one champion, but dos campeones, as she is the United States champion and one half of the AAA mixed tag champion. So she's a champion in the ring for North America, and she looks to be a champion in the ballroom for North America. So I'm excited. I'm hoping she gets to do it. I've loved Chelsea Green since way back in the day. Everywhere she goes, she's must-see television. So I think if there's anybody who can translate over from wrestling to worldwide domination, it will be Chelsea Green.
Like, this would be the good opportunity that is on the cake, because we could see Matt Cardona sitting in the audience almost every week if she was on Dancing with the Stars.
Oh, yes.
We could. And also, I do want to point out there, I did watch Dancing with the Stars, the early seasons of Dancing with the Stars, because the first I ever saw was Stacy Keibler, and I saw Stacy's journey, her along with Jerry Rice And also, I'm in my boy band mode. Drew Lachey from 98 Degrees. He was on that season. But seeing Stacy, and I was very surprised they did not promote Stacy in any way, because Stacy was pretty good throughout her whole season. She was good. And it was crazy because I know she wasn't on TV for that time, and then she left for a bit. And I did see a little bit of Jericho when he was on Dancing with the Stars, obviously from like week 1. And then when they did that tribute, he did a tribute dance to his mother, who passed away when he was starting out in wrestling. But I did like it when they did that. I forget what year it was, but they did that Elimination Chamber debate on Raw. And I think CM Punk was the one that gave him a remark about his performance on Dancing with the Stars, which I thought was so hilarious. And, you know, I love it when wrestlers cross over to the ballrooms. I want to see more of that, not just with WWE, but let's get all of the promotions. Get TNA in there, get AEW in there. I would love to see how they do in ballroom dancing, because I think this would be a really good, fun journey. And who knows, Chelsea may surprise some people if she's on Dancing with the Stars. She could blow them all the way.
Yeah, I like to see that. I mean, some people say there's ballroom dancing on Wednesday nights on TBS and Saturdays on TNT. So with some of the, if you watch like a Will Ospreay match, not me, that's what the internet says. But yeah, man, shout out to Chelsea Green. Let's hope she gets that and continues winning all over the place.
But that is true. We would like to see Chelsea, but that's all I have for WWT. Is there anything else that I missed in story-wise? Or I'm like Cody Rhodes. Is there anything you want to talk about?
I mean, just Enzo Maresca's management of the Chelsea starting 11 today. We lost to Leeds United. We should not ever lose to a bottom place Premier League team like Leeds United, who just got called up from Championship. But hey, you know, blue is the color. Football is the game. Still going to rep my Chelsea squad. Chelsea Green is doing better than the Chelsea squad at the moment. So at least one Chelsea's winning I could talk about. How about that?
That is very true. But this pretty much wraps up our Wednesday edition of WWT. And I know we got to get out of here. And your little Willow, because hopefully I get to see her tonight, because the babes
of wrath.
But the babes of wrath.
Future AEW World Tag Team title. You know what? Quick side note about that. I'm worried about this match because I think the only people who aren't really involved in singles championships potential are Marina Shafir and Megan Bayne. Obviously, Willow's going to get that push for the Women's World Championship. So I'm hoping that Tony Khan's like, well, we're just going to keep tag. No, I want Willow with gold. I need her with gold. So start off with the Women's World Tag Team titles, and then we can have her beat Mercedes Moné at Wembley in August at All In. So, but I need my Willow with gold. It's been too long without Willow without gold.
She will get gold, because I will say, side note, when I was at that press conference, somebody asked Tony Khan, who's the breakout star for 2026. She was one of them, and the fans went crazy, because you know how much the fans love and respect her and adore her. So I would love for her to have gold.
Well, we went crazy because we was like, wait a minute, she won the Owen. What do you mean breakout? She won the Owen. Before it was a shot for the title. She was like the second Owen winner before they even started. Yep. It was like, what do you mean breakout? Like she's been out. Strap her up, Tony. Stop playing with us.
Well, and also with the fact too, when she won it, she did get hurt. So she did get injured.
My feelings are hurt because she ain't got no gold. That's what's hurt.
Well, she's gonna get some gold. She will get some golds. She will get some gold. She will.
Like a parrot. Apparently, she needs gold. Anyway,
she's gonna get her gold. But Kane, where can the people find you and Mini Willow? Where can they find you and Mini Willow?
Yes, find us, Kane McCoy. We out here. Still trying to get back on Twitter, but I'm on Threads. That's a thing. I think Blue Sky's a thing. All the alternatives from the Twitter, but we will be back on.
Well,
there we go.
Well, the people can find me top of the hour when I do my watch along for Timeless Elite Wednesdays for AEW Dynamite, because we have a packed packed show happening. Get ready because we do have the AEW Women's Tag Team Titles Tournament happening. We have Continental Classic. We got Samoa Joe, Eddie Kingston. They're gonna have their beef in the ring with each other. So much happening in the next 2 hours. You can also follow me on @CourtneyNJ11 because I do have a lot of stuff. Make sure to check out my post that I did on the Media Scrum with Chris Statlander, because it was a very fun question that I did ask her, and I was very excited to do that. And also, I do have content happening. And also, I think I'm going to do a little bit of an update regarding the Continental Classic because I don't see any other influencers doing that. So it looks like I'm going to be updating you guys on Continental Classic mayhem all around. So TBD on that. Make sure to follow ISPW Wrestling because yours truly will be on the call February 13th, 2026 for Girl Power Pro Wrestling 3, because we're going to have Carissa Rivera, formerly known as Electra Lopez, be there. And we're going to have the virtuosa Deonna Purrazzo there as well. And if you love women's wrestling, if you live in New Jersey, if you love independent wrestling, feel free to come out and just celebrate it all around. So feel free to do that. Also, feel free to check out our Siblings podcast, the Kayfabe podcast. I think they're going to have one tomorrow. So who knows what they're going to say after War Games and NXT with Deadline. Who knows with that. But definitely shout out to everybody on the team of WWT. Also shout out to our bus lady because she's putting in work. She is working this weekend. So definitely put a shout out to her. Also definitely putting a shout out to everybody in the chat. Aaron Teagle, Boza, Lewis, Eric Isaac, Zach Minger, all of you for supporting, living and breathing everything of women's wrestling talk. And we will see you on Friday. So thank you all for supporting Women's Wrestling Talk, the #1 women's wrestling network on the planet. And we'll see you on Friday.
Thanks for joining WWT. Don't forget to like us on all social media platforms at WW Talk Pod. Like and subscribe on all video and audio platforms like yesterday, my G. And check out our website at www.talkpod.com. Thanks for watching Women's Wrestling Talk, the #1 women's wrestling network on the planet.